Hello, my name is Matthias, TOS22. I've programmed the coffee break compiler TCC and also this demographic adventure game, Crazy Dr. Tempus, and now I would like to give you some information on how I did it. First, I will show you the memory concept and how the game is dealing with addresses, and then I show you how I made the sprites. Then I'll show you how I set up the screen with high-res graphics and with the text mode. And finally, I'll show you how I created the music. And then we will look at the game loop itself and how that all was put together in the compiler TCC. So, first to the memory concept. I've made this little overview, and you can see that the first 8 kilobytes of data are quite untouched. There's the 0 page, which the program needs for almost all routines and functions, and there is also the screen memory and many more important things. However, I used available memory from 1600 through 1F00, which is about 2300 bytes, which I use for the sound loader. More on this in a moment. Normally programs start at 2000, so here, and so does Dr. Tempus also, but the basic loader calls the program from 5000, which is here, because the memory range from 2000 through 5000 is used for loading and saving bitmaps. And the reason is I have not found any other place in the combination of sprites, high-res graphics and music where I could access with the registers of the WIC, and which finally worked. So I simply moved the area for the bitmap to the front, so to 2000. And I moved the program start to the back, so to 5000. So the program code itself starts at 5000, and it needs about half of the available area. And you can say that about 2/3 of the program code is game logic, and 1/3 is level data. The demographic adventure has 8 levels, and with the free memory here in this area, I could fit another 20 to 30 level data without having to reload code, and this would be enough to create quite complex adventure games such as Zack McCracken or something like that. And if there were not enough memory, this is also not a problem. The game would then have to reload and replace parts of the code with the reloaded code. Let's go on. The area from D000 to FFFF is not available as memory. I will explain you why this is on the next slide. Of the two free banks, which is bank 4 and bank 5 in the MEGA65, I only use bank 4. My concept was to use the first half for music data, so this 32 kilobyte of data for music, and the second half for sprites. I also had the idea to put all the high-res graphics to bank 4. But as I said, I failed, and so it's only music and sprite. The game doesn't need a lot of music or sprites, and so the large amount of memory is still unused. So, what is happening when the game starts? First, the sprites are loaded into bank 0 and up from 2000, and they are copied from this memory location to bank 4. All my attempts to load directly into a bank other than bank 0 were unsuccessful, unfortunately. But this is not really a big problem. I can load it into bank 0 and then move it to the desired bank in the end. So then the game loads the first bitmap, which is the start screen with the Dr. Tempus image, into bank 0 from 2000, and it overrides the sprite data that has already been copied to the bank 4. I've prepared the bitmaps in koala format. This was a very popular format in the days of the 64 computer. It was multicolor, and I loved it as a child. And it's very simple. It is 8,000 bytes of bitmap, and then there is 1,000 bytes that comes into the screen memory, and another 1,000 bytes, almost 1,000 bytes for the color memory. And so the game, when the data is loaded, the game has to transfer these two 1,000 byte blocks into screen RAM and color RAM, and the remaining 8,000 bytes simply remain where they are, and the WIC accesses them at this location. So we have these small slices of memory. The one comes to the screen RAM, and another slice goes to bank 1, where I can access the color RAM. As you can see, it's only 1 kilobyte. It's only it's half of the screen RAM, and it's half of the color RAM, and this is because I use the 40 columns mode in this game, and not 80 columns, which would be the standard for MEGA65. Okay. So let's see how I'm loading the music. This is exactly the same with the sprites. First it goes to bank 0, and I use this memory area between 1600 and 1F00 for the music. Actually, I could have loaded the music in the same way as for the sprites, but I wrote the sound library some weeks before the input-output library, and there was no reason for me to reserve such a large memory area, starting at 2000, free for loading routines at the beginning of the program. So I kind of like to find this free memory area in the first 8 kilobyte block. As a result of this, as you can see, it comes to the bank 4. In most cases, these 2,300 bytes of memory will not be enough to load all the music data in one go. And so the sound library has a loading routine that reads the music data file by file, one after the other. And this might seem unnecessary, but on the other hand, it may also be an advantage, namely when the program doesn't need high-res but music, and wants to use the memory from 2000 for the program code. Then it's good if the sound data is loaded and manipulated in this independent memory area. In the demo game, there are also two music files. It's wrong 1 and wrong 2, which are read one after the other and copied into bank 4. This is much simpler in the program itself than how I'm explaining it here. So, next slide. To the addresses. The addresses from 0 to CFFF access data stored in bank 0, so it's mapped to bank 0. The addresses from D000 to DFFF are the so-called input-output registers, and are used for communication with WIC and SID in particular. I do not use the underlying RAM. This is controlled via memory location 01 in the 0 page. And to bank the I/O registers in is in fact the standard, and therefore I didn't have to set corresponding bits in this memory location. Yeah, and then there is the kernel. It has important functions for input and output, and for loading and much more. The kernel is located in bank 3. in the range E000 to FFFF. I've mapped the last 8 kilobytes of data into bank 3. This is also standard for programs with TCC, but it can be changed at any time if desired. So the fact that the program data, the music and the sprite data is also in bank 4, that doesn't bother us. I load the music data when I need it, and I use a far load function for this. I'll show you later. And the sprite data doesn't have to be in bank 0. There's a wonderful feature of the MEGA65 that I have sprite pointers that can also point to other banks, and that works just great. Okay, sprites. Let's stay with the sprites. So let's have a look at my character for the game. This character is not extremely complex. I have, as you can see, a sprite for the upper body from the front and from behind, and I have it from the left and from the right. And for the legs, I have a sprite for standing, and I have 2 sprites for walking, and I have 3 sprites each for moving to the left. That is these 3 sprites, and I have 3 sprites for moving to the right. And depending on which status the player is in, a certain combination of upper body and legs is set. And when walking to the left or to the right, the 3 sprites for the legs are cycled through. It's quite simple in principle. I drew it all with paint. There are loads of ideas for pixel graphics on the internet. You should be able to find a lot of basics there, and which you can develop according to your own wishes. And I think paint, as simple as it is perfectly for that purpose. Maybe a little thing on the technical side. The sprites are 16 by 21 pixels in size. This is the format for full color sprites. This means I have 16 possible colors for each pixel, and that's very cool. With 1 byte, I can store the color value for 2 pixels, so I need in total 8 bytes for 1 line, so for 16 pixels. Times 21 lines results in 168 bytes. The sprite pointers always address 64-byte slots, so I need 3 slots for 1 full color sprite as this one. This is 1 full color sprite, and it's 190 bytes in total, because because the WIG addresses it with 34 byte slots, and so even if it only has this 168 bytes, I need 192 bytes. I entered the sprites manually in the Coffee Break compiler. I compiled them and I saved them as animation bin. I will show you how I did this in a few minutes. Okay, now to the graphics and to the text mode. I use the so-called raster line interrupt to switch between high-res graphics and text mode. Later in the program, I will show you which raster lines are used for the switching, but only for the overview. I only use the upper 152 pixels for the bitmap, as I need the lower 48 pixels to display a total of 6 lines of text with 8 pixels each. And I created the bitmaps with the tool Project One on the PC, and also more on this shortly. So to the music. Music is done with a small basic program. It's called Sound Add, and it's also on the TCC disk. You will find it there. This Sound Add supports an easy entry of music data, and it exports files which TCC can load into Bank 4. So I have these sound data files, and within the program, these sound data files are, as I've shown before, loaded to Bank 0 and then moved to Bank 4. During runtime, the interrupt takes care of playing the music. When the time is right, it fetches the next bytes from Bank 4 and sends it to the SID so that either sound is generated or a pause is played. I actually wanted to use the popular SID file format, but that didn't work at all, and finally I decided to develop my own format, and this is not really efficient yet, but at least it works, and it is quite expandable. In contrast to the SID format, my format is very simple, and if you like, you can adapt it relatively easily to your own requirements. So last, a few words about the game loop before we look at the tools I used and then the source code in detail. In the game loop, actually nothing is done for 3000 loops. This is an input delay. Then the joystick status is queried every after 3000 loops and then processed. If I wanted to make the cursor a little bit faster, for example, I would have to reduce this 3000 delay loops. However, the most work in the game loop happens when the fire button is pressed. Next. The coordinates of the cursor are used to check whether an action has been clicked. So this is one of these is an action, or whether an item has been clicked. So the items are listed here. And whether an element on the level has been clicked. So anywhere in the level screen. And here, for example, we see level 1, where the drawers are separate elements, but only the gray drawer is special because it contains money. And then there is the smartphone. It's here. And it's also special because when you charge it, you receive a text message with some important information. And what did I do? I've written down the top left and the bottom right coordinates of all the required elements. Then in the source code, I added functionality to it. More to this in a moment. So, in addition to the game loop, there is another important function, and this is the interrupt. It does a few but very important things. Firstly, it constantly switches between high-res graphics and text mode, depending on which raster line currently the raster line generator is. And then it takes care of the cursor blinking effect. And then it cares of moving the player. So the game loop only moves the cursor and sets a new target coordinate for the player. And the interrupt takes over the movement to this target coordinate. Then the interrupt also takes care of the music and plays another event when the time is right. And then also the interrupt gives another delay to the 3000 loops in the game loop, so that a new press of the fire button is only possible after 80 interrupts have been done. So much for the overview. Now let's take a look at the creation of sprites, the preparation of the high-res bitmaps, the music, and finally the source code.